good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. Let Pastor Al be the first one to say it. Well, we saw what has happened up on the Capitol, and we see how the USA Today has actually headlined its title is Pro-Trump Mob Storms U.S. Capitol. All right, we see that. And then, of course, in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution says intolerable act on democracy. Okay, now I'm saying all this, and I'm getting ready to say all this. Can you imagine if this is the way that the American behavior is, and this is just an election, one man in office and another man out? Can you imagine what's going to take place in this country when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris try to come after the guns? It ain't going to be well. It ain't going to be good at all. The one thing that Americans do is they cleave to their guns like they cleave to their Bibles. And like some Americans faithfully cleave to their husbands and their wives. That's one thing that's definitely going to be intolerable, and it's definitely a hands off, because when you have the GOA and, you know, the NRA is kind of, I don't like the NRA. They compromise too much. The Gun Owners of America, which I am a lifetime member of GOA, because they are the only gun lobbyist that does not compromise on the Second Amendment in any way, shape, fashion, or form. But can you imagine if we already have Americans firing on each other, people dying at the U.S. Capitol, inside the halls, for just allegedly protesting? You can only imagine what's going to take place in this country if the Democrats, who now have an equal footing in the Senate, and they control the House of Representatives, and with Kamala Harris using the deciding vote, you can only imagine what's going to take place in this country if they try to come after the guns, or if they try to even make any type of legislation. America is ripe for revolution, and it's getting even more riper for revolution, protests. Is ripe for literally just being turned upside down, because there are a lot of people in this country that just do not accept and will not accept the so-called alleged election results. We all know and we all can sense that something is wrong. Regardless of if it's Trump or Joe Biden, something is wrong. Something is gravely wrong. The people are not in charge of this country, and the people are not running this country anymore, and the people know that. What I don't understand is how you'll get people like Glenn Beck and other people said that we can never, ever, ever accept violence in this country, when it's all this country is all about is violence. It's all about violence. Every time you turn around, it's violence. And it's always violence with the majority perpetuating violence against the minority. And then in the case of law enforcement, when they have the ability to be able to arm themselves, and then you take that right away from the citizens, we see it over and over again. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. We continue to keep seeing that. And that is the reason why that the framers of the Constitution seen the right and the need, and the reason why that the citizens need to continue to keep arming themselves. Because, I mean, after all, when you have government officials shooting protesters on Capitol grounds, and, you know, a lot of people are taking the sentiment that these people are not protesters. These are literal terrorists. And so, but who's right? I mean, the political climate is corrupt. The office of the presidency is corrupt. The Senate is corrupt. The House is corrupt. The Judiciary Committee is corrupt. The Supreme Court is corrupt. The whole thing is corrupt. The law enforcement agencies, from the FBI, they're corrupt. The ATF is corrupt. The CIA is corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. So what do you do when everybody's corrupt? Well, then the Americans, they decide to go ahead and be corrupt too. So, because if the whole damn thing is corrupt, let's just corrupt the whole thing. Churches are lying and they're corrupt. They continue to keep promoting lies. And I had somebody get mad and get offended at me the other day because I asked a simple question. Is Washington, D.C. a state? Now, a lot of people already knew the answer and said no. And last year, they tried to add Washington, D.C. as the 51st state. They tried their best, and they trying to add Puerto Rico as well, even though Puerto Rico is not getting too much support from the United States of America. But District of Columbia, or Columbus, the man who allegedly discovered America but never stepped foot on his land. See, lies. When you have a nation built on lies, the history is built on lies, and history is only being told by the people who conquered, but not the truth. What can you expect? The whole thing is eroding. The fabric of America is eroding right before our very eyes. And what you're watching, all of you, I want y'all to listen to me very closely. You're watching the end of the run of what they call a great empire. It used to be a great empire. We're at the end of this thing. And so America is eroding. The money system is devalued. Morality is gone. There's no absolutes. There's no truth. There's no lies. It's all about do whatever you want to do, whatever will be. Laws are being made up, cover-ups. Murder at the hands of those in authority is on a grand scale. America is tearing apart at the fabric, literally. And it's telling you that when we have all of this, $27 trillion in debt, and it's not including Medicaid, Medicare, unfunded liabilities, we are dumb, dormant, docile, demonized, demoralized. We're full of selfishness, selfishness on an unprecedented scale. People are not preparing. Some people are preparing. And what do you think a lot of the preppers and a lot of people are preparing for? They're preparing for insurrection. They're preparing for a civil war. They're preparing for what we obviously can be able to see what the writing is on the wall. And that's amazing how, I'm going back to this violence thing. It's amazing how it's that we don't want to tolerate violence unless it's the law enforcement officers or people who are in authority are perpetuating violence against us, then nothing is said. But then they want us Americans to be docile and be dormant anytime somebody perpetuates evil and injustice against us. And that just simply ain't going to happen. And there's a reason why I care. I care for the protection of myself and those that I love. And there's a reason why I train. I train because I don't get to pick the daytime or hour, and neither do you get to pick the daytime or hour when evil come your way. Now, I've told people over and over again, these protests are time bomb ticking, waiting for something to go bad. And I always tell my listening audience, don't you be caught dead out there in these protests, because people could turn around and come up on you with a knife and work you like a sewing machine. Or they could turn around like this one lady did, innocently lost her life, and at the hands of, and there's more videos coming out about it, just being shot dead, cold-blooded dead. And you don't want to be around stuff like that. You want to, again, concentrate all your efforts on protecting you, yourself, your homestead, your family, your lands, and building a perimeter, and say, to hell with this country, because this country's been done forgot about you. I told you, nobody in this country, especially in the highest office of the land, all the way down to all these lying politicians, cares nothing. You better start getting your homestead together, because the empire is crumbling. The empire is at the end. All you got to do is go back and look at history. Go back and look at revisionist history. It clearly tells you what's happening right now. Because history has this uncanny ability to be able to repeat itself. It just does. And if you don't know history, then you're destined to repeat the same mistakes of the past. But if you do know history, then you'll prepare like myself and a bunch of other people, and you won't get caught with your proverbial hand in a cookie jar or your pants down. You won't get caught. You won't be ashamed. You'll be ready, because you're preparing yourself, because you can see the proverbial writing on the wall. Well, I don't agree with this acts about not being violent and stuff when people are being evil against you. I believe you should answer anything that is perpetuated against you, any type of force. I think you should answer it with a greater and more powerful and more superior force. That's what I believe. And America believes that as well. If you don't believe it, look at all the wars, all the warrantless wars. And when I mean wars, I'm talking about wars that's never been declared by Congress. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to leave this at the end of this video right here. When was the last time that we have ever been in a truthful, lawful war? When was the last time that Congress ever declared war? And if Congress it's been a long time since they have declared war, then what
All right. Shalom. Barakatah Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Ba'ashem Rakakadash. All praises and glories definitely do, especially in the times we're living in. Much respect to the apostles and others of Great Millstone, and to all the brothers out there doing the work. I say shalom. All right, we just heard from Pastor Dal. I have a few precepts, and I don't want to make this a long lesson, so give me a minute. All right, we'll start here in Joel 3 and 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Okay? And that's part of Pastor Dow's title. All right? America is ripe. All right? America, Babylon the Great, which is fallen. All right? And you read that in Revelation 18 and all throughout the scriptures. All right? Come and get down, for the press is full. The fats overflowed, for their wickedness is great. Okay? Now, we get into this. All right? Sickle. The root word etymology from the unused root meaning reap. You see that? Meaning reap. What? You reap what you sow. Jeremiah 50:16, cut off the sword from Babylon. That's talking about America, Babylon the Great. Him that handled the sickle. All right? The time of the harvest for fear of the oppressing sword. All right? So you reap what you sow. Let's jump to Galatians. All right? Give me a minute. This is Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived. For the God power Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. What's an example of that? Revelations 13. He who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right? Who put the Israelites, the Negro, Latino, and Native American into captivity? Yeah, the tabernacles of Edom. Esau Edom, the white man. All right? He that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand as in possession, he shall surely be put to death. That's from Exodus 21:16. All right? You people get the point? You understand? For he that soweth to his flesh, of the flesh reapeth corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. All right? And that's only for the elect of Israel. All right? Because that's who the Lord is coming back for, pursuant to Matthews 24:31. And he shall send his angels, all right, at the sound of the trumpet, to gather who? His elect from the four winds, north, south, east, west, from one end of heaven unto the other. You understand? All right. Let's jump. Let me close out here. Let me jump over here to Ezra's. This is 1 John 5:19, and we know that we are the God power, talking about the elect of Israelites, and the whole world lieth in wickedness. Give me a minute. This is 2 Ezra 15 and 6. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. All right, let's jump to 2 Ezra 16. All right, this is to close out. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, in the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, in the beginning of evils. And what shall I do when these evils shall come? I'm out to the next one. Shalom.